All the content contained in this webcast is for informational purposes only. The investments and strategies contained in this webcast may not be suitable for you. Please consult your own independent financial advisor before making any investment or trading decisions. Welcome, traders. We have our first earnings preview show here. I know we bang technicals into your head, but Dennis, you have to admit the fundamentals and the earnings are really what drives this market.
Yeah, it really is, Joel. I just brought up a chart of IBM here overall. You can see last time it had earnings report, you can see this gap in the chart back in early January. Gapped up to 185 that day, went straight up to close up there at 188 and change, and has really moved straight up since then. So, a good earnings report can continue to be a driver for a long time. Obviously, the 185 all the way to 210 run on the IBM. So we're just trying to show you, from a longer term perspective, earnings can really be a driver there.
Well, from a technical perspective, Dennis, we talked about the lows at the end of last week in the 202 area. I think that will be a key level of support. Also, you have to look at there's been a lot of consolidation in this stock too, Dennis. Really not spending much time above 206. So 202 to 206 could be your breakout areas. And of course, if the news is really good, you have to look for that all-time high at 210.69. And if it's really bad, we'll be getting back under the $200 level.
Yeah, tomorrow morning, just to clarify the date there, tomorrow morning is when IBM does have their earnings. Intel will report tomorrow after the bell. INTC, obviously the symbol on that one, and this is a stock that has had a nice move too. I mean, so many stocks have had good runs, but this stock actually is sitting right near its high there, Joel. We're only 20-30 cents off the high, 28.55 being the 52-week high. So this stock on a good report, it could propel it, and obviously you're going to see major resistance up in the 30 area if it was to really go into rally mode. But a good report, it's kind of looking like it's consolidating. It's going to go one way or another, obviously, off this report, Joel. What do you think of Intel going in?
Intel is one stock that doesn't get a lot of love, Dennis. It doesn't get a lot of coverage, but has really moved up smartly this year from the $23 level. I'd like to look at the highs back in late of 2007, back at the $28 level. We are now back at this level. We have traded above it the last few days and actually have closed above it. If that could be the springboard to the $30 level, you're looking at levels that have not been traded at really since 2004. So Intel is really hanging in here, Dennis. I could see if this thing can hold in the $28 level, getting a nice move up to 30.14.
Goldman Sachs reports tomorrow morning before the bell. Might as well bring up a chart here and check this one out. The 115 the last couple of days has been giving you some pretty good support, and even today it did the same thing. The low today being 114.99, and now we're up at 116. So we've bounced off that 115 support there again. This could be a wild one though, Joel. I'd expect probably a 4 or 5 point move off the report. 120 obviously is putting a little bit of a lid the last few trading sessions. What do you think, Goldman Sachs going in?
Dennis, as much as I like to lean to the short side of the market and stuff, I don't think I'd want to take going into this earnings being short. You got to believe that the run up at the market since the beginning of the year, that Goldman's had to participate in that for its clients as well as from a proprietary basis. So I look at this 115 as a low risk entry and stops below the 110 level, but this one I'm not looking for a disappointment.
Yeah, it's a good point. When you have such a strong quarter, it usually is good for the brokerage houses. So you never know. Goldman Sachs could come out and really give you a nice number here. You wonder how much that could be priced in as well, but hard to say. Coca-Cola reports tomorrow here too, Joel. Stock has actually, we were talking this morning, getting some nice support in the 71.90 area. It has bounced off that, getting a good lift. The market just being flat on the day, but Coke's up 62 cents, actually getting close to yesterday's high or Friday's high of 72.60. Starts to take that out. It starts to look more bullish. Stock's had a pretty decent run too since its last report. Obviously topped out, at the beginning of the month there at the 74 area. Has peeled back. What do you think of Coke going into tomorrow's report?
Very defined range in this stock since April 10, Dennis. 71.82 low with a 72.62 high. The lows have been all within, under that $72 level. So I'm looking for that as major support. Coming back, if it can get above the 72.60, 72.70 level, could make another run at that 74.
American Express reports after the bell on Wednesday, Joel. So AXP. Here's an interesting one. The stock has obviously been on a decent run, just like everything else this year. Looking here, though, 59.26 is the 52-week high. I'm going to give you a number, though, $60. If for whatever reason American Express really comes out with a strong report, there's been huge institutional selling pressure at 60. It's a big psychological number. I'd expect high-frequency resistance in the 59.90s. So if, and we're always just saying, we're trying to give you, a bullish scenario and a bearish scenario, because it's hard to say which way it's going to go. But if it goes into rally mode, that would be the number, is $60. I'd expect it to give you significant resistance, and the high frequency resistance being in the 59.90s.
Dennis, I'm going to have to undercut you here a little bit. I think maybe some of those $60 traders have come down to the $58 level, Dennis. You've had three highs between 57.95 and 58.09. So definitely someone trying to move a piece of stock here at 58 without rattling it too much. If, in fact, they do get above there, of course, that $60 level will be huge. Coming back on the downside, Dennis, couple double bottom, call it a double bottom, 57.06 to 57.18. I think whatever way the earnings are and whatever way it breaks out above 58 or below 57 will be the direction for AXP.
eBay reports earnings after the bell as well on Wednesday, Joel. This is a stock that, again, like everything else, has had a great run, but stock is actually breaking down here today. I know Apple and Google have been weak. It might be putting a little bit of pressure on eBay down as well, too. Down 40 cents. We had this nice trend going up here the last few sessions. Now it's starting to break down. Obviously, $38 is enormous on this thing. If they come out blowing the number away, I would expect major resistance in the 37.90 area. What do you think of eBay going in?
eBay has very well defined support here, Dennis, in the low 35s. So as long as they can hold above there, you have another stopping point right at 34.83, but this whole 35 area, Dennis, looms very large to me. As long as eBay stays above 35, I look for it to be in an uptrend, breaking below 35. You have really air down to 33, so I'd use that at 35 level as a major level on the downside. On the upside, Dennis, it seems like it's been running into trouble here at this 36.5 area. Couple highs at 36.66, 36.72, 35.36. So someone's working a piece there at 36.50, Dennis. But just for a little fundamental thing, I mean, are you on eBay a lot? Do you do a lot of stuff on there?
I do nothing on eBay really, Joel. So I don't know. Obviously, there's a lot of people that sell a lot of stuff. I have a friend that sells a ton of stuff on eBay, and he loves it. So the people that do use eBay love it. I just don't know. They don't have obviously as much broad appeals like what Google has, or everybody uses Google. But I think the people that do use eBay use it a lot, so that helps. But yeah, me personally, I don't use eBay.
Right, and I just think that everyone that has used it is using it. So I just don't know what the driver is going to be for this stock to to bust out back to what were those all-time highs that it had back at 59.21.
Bank America reports Thursday, Joel. BAC, this is one we've talked about a lot on our pre-market info show. Obviously, the $10 has been enormous. It failed up there. Coming back down here, I think you'd get great support if it went in sell-off mode in the $8 area. But hopefully Joel's got some numbers a little bit closer than that.
850, Dennis. That's stemmed the tide so far. The sell-off from over 10 when it failed there. So you take 850 to 10, $1.50 move. I think major resistance will be at the 9.25 level. Since it had that 850 low, it has got as high as 918. So look for major resistance, 918 to 9.25. If in fact it can clear there, it'll go back up to the $10 level. Coming back on the downside, 850. If that doesn't hold, we could be looking at $8 since it flew through that area. But so far, Dennis, the bank earnings have been pretty good.
Yeah, they haven't been bad. They sold off J.P. Morgan, Wells Fargo, but just looking at the numbers, Citigroup obviously reported today, and their numbers were pretty good, and the stock has gotten a lift here. So the bank earnings haven't been that bad. So I don't know if that's but they got to be really good for it to go up too. So obviously J.P. Morgan, Wells Fargo, I thought those were good too, and the stocks went down. So it's hard to say. The street really wants to see some decent numbers out of these things. Morgan Stanley also reports there too, Joel, on Thursday. Another brokerage house. We talked about the Goldman Sachs being such a strong quarter overall for the market. You tend to think that Goldman Sachs is going to have a good quarter. Do you think the same for Morgan Stanley?
I think as long as it can hold $17, it's going to be in pretty good shape. 17 and a quarter, 17.26. It's just been holding in there, so that's major support. Below 17, you got a sharp drop to 16. This thing, Dennis, I mean, this is really bad. Of all the stocks and all, if you want to, whatever perspective you want to use from 9/11 or 2008 meltdown, Dennis, this is one stock that just hasn't made it back.
Yeah, no, it really has, and Morgan Stanley has been definitely one of the major laggards here. Obviously, had a terrible year last year there when it really started to break down earlier in the year. It got down to as low as 11.58, so it's bounced back from there. But overall, it's just not been a good few years there for Morgan Stanley, and not even a good last month because we got over 21 and bang, the thing's down at 17 again. It's a pretty significant sell-off. But keep in mind, it has been a good year so far for the market overall. So maybe Morgan Stanley surprises and does okay in this quarter. Microsoft, Joel. Microsoft reports there on Thursday as well. This is a stock that had been on a great tear up till about 3 weeks ago, and then it started to break down. It got up to the 32.95 high, drifted down. We got back up there, couldn't make new highs in the last week or two, or in the last 3 weeks. Has really sold off here, Joel. Bounced back here in the last 3 or 4 sessions, but what do you think of Microsoft?
Yeah, this is one stock we really haven't talked a lot about lately. It's had a pretty orderly sell-off here from just under 33. Really found a home above the $30 level. 30.23 was the low from last week. Have to stay bullish as long as it holds that level. And then we also always talk about the double and triple tops in Microsoft. Well, lo and behold, you have the last three highs between 31.04 and 31.16. And then a little breather, another high at 31.19. So I think if this thing gets back above this 31.20 level, we'll make a run at the highs. If not, we're going to go back and test that 30.23.
EMC reports on Thursday. Lots of earnings on Thursday. EMC reports as well. I'm going to give you the number on this one. It's $30. $30 is absolutely enormous on this thing. EMC is usually a wild one after it reports, so don't be surprised if it does move 70 or 80 cents or a buck. Could run up. We're still a couple days away from the Thursday, so it could get a little earnings run up before that, but this $30 is absolutely huge. There's been institutional sellers there, and there's been high-frequency traders selling in front of them continuously, so I'd expect all that high-frequency resistance in the 29.80s and 29.90s. So if the earnings are good, I still think it's going to have to be really good to get over that 30, though. I'd probably be a seller in the 29.90s if it's a good report.
I don't think you're going to get a chance, Dennis.
No, you don't, Joel? You don't think it's going to get a lift?
No, I mean, I don't know what the earnings are going to be, but boy, someone's really stepped down to this 29.40 level, 29.38 and 29.39. I don't know. Do you got a big order at 29.50 or something?
Nothing like the $30 level.
Okay. All right. Well, I'd keep an eye on this 29.40 level. If you want to be a shorter term trader and it gets a pop above there, you got a free 60 cents, Dennis, up to the $30 level, wherever you want to play shorter against the high frequency traders. Coming back on the downside, you have 3 very well defined lows between 28.62 and 28.66. So, gonna look for a breakout in EMC above 29.40 or below 28.60.
Verizon VZ reports, Joel, on Thursday as well. This is a stock that has sold straight off here in the last month and a half. It got up, was sniffing up near that $40 area. We had talked about a huge seller up at 40. Didn't quite get to 40 there, earlier in the month, or actually mid-March. Got up to 39.90, and then just went into this parabolic sell-off. 1, 2, 3, 4 huge down days. Brought it way down, bounced a bit, and then has cut back down, and obviously now finding some support near where the low was in early January. It's finding some support in this whole 37 area. But also, if you're looking here, it's had some resistance in the 37, 55, 60 area too. So this thing is really winding up, Joel. Going to be interesting to see which way it goes after the earnings report.
Yeah, well, it did come down and fill that gap, Dennis, that it had under the $37 level. So that was nice. It took care of that last week. Got to 36.80. That 37's really shaping up a nice support. That stemmed the tide when the stock got over 40 back in January. Came back down, kissed that $37 level, then got a nice bounce, but couldn't quite get to 40. And now we're coming back down again. So 37, buddy, that is a number for you if you're a long-term or short-term trader in Verizon. And then very well-defined resistance. You've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 highs between 37, 46, and 61. So break out above 37.60. We could be migrating towards that $40 level. Below 37, I don't know, Dennis. You could be seeing 36.01 pretty quickly.
GE reports on Friday, Joel. That's going to be your big one on Friday. This stock here, obviously, we've talked about it quite a bit. Had the big run up in March and then peeled back here. I think it's a bad tick on the chart, but really sold off in April. Has come back into this whole area where it's consolidated. We were talking about this level for a while. This whole 1860 area. We made a low there the other day of 1870. Didn't quite get to that 1860, but this whole area has given it pretty good support. If the stock's to go, it does a little earnings run up. Like we're 4 days away from Friday. If it was to run up, $20 is going to be enormous on this. It's psychological. I'm sure there's some institutional sellers. And I'm sure there's some high-frequency guys leaning in front of those institutional sellers in the 1990s. So that's going to be huge resistance if the stock was to go into rally mode. What do you think, GE?
Well, they came out not too long ago and said they were going to be okay with their numbers, and then that's when it snuck down to that 1832 level, and everyone got all excited. It got up to 20. Here's another stock, Dennis, that has not made a new 52-week high, even in this monster run that the S&Ps have had since the beginning of the year. I don't know. I mean, it's just talked a little bit about it in the weekly outlook. They have their core businesses, their dividend. It's not a bad thing to hold, but it just seems like it's never going back to $40.
Yeah, now, well, $40 is a long ways away. I don't know if it's going to go back to $20 anytime soon, but McDonald's reports on Friday. This is a stock that has been surprisingly weak. Really, some of these defensive names have actually held up pretty well, but McDonald's really hasn't done that great this whole entire year. I mean, we topped out there in early January at 102. It seemed like everybody wanted to own it. They were, basically getting on the bandwagon, and then it's kind of just been quietly selling off ever since then. We had some bad same-store sales there early March, which drove it down. That's the gap on the chart there. Came back up, filled that gap a little bit, but has come back down. Trading down again today. I would say it needs to hold this $95 yearly low. We had a low there at $95.13. If it can't hold that $95 area, that's a scary thing right there. If it has a great report, starts running up, obviously $100, huge psychological resistance. But you had these couple tops there at 99.5 too. That probably is going to give you some resistance too.
Yeah, the sellers are stepped down too, Dennis. You also had 3 consecutive highs from 98.73 to 98.78. So that's $2 away from there. It looks like the people that missed the opportunity to sell that thing at 100 got a little spooked on the gap down day that it had, and then as it tried to rally back up to that level, the sellers have stepped in. And I have to agree with you. I mean, here's a stock that's very close to its yearly low, 95.13. Break below that, there's some gaps to fill down at the 94 level, and major support at 92.
There's one more I'd like to highlight for Friday is Honeywell. It's a stock we don't talk about a lot on the show either, but it can be a mover. Here's a stock that obviously had a great run up, was up there trading at 62.27, this high right up here, and then in the last month has really peeled back. It's bounced a bit, found some support in this 58 area. Actually, the last 2 days almost identical ranges so far. But you got to think 60 bucks is a big psychological level in this thing now. There was 4, 5, 6 highs in late February in that area. There's been multiple highs before that in the 60 area too. I think that 60 area, Joel, could put a lid on it if it has a good report. If it goes to sell off, you want to look at that low of the move, which is 56.57.
Yeah, and the three highs, Dennis, between 58.65 and 58.88. Looks like the seller has stepped down from the $59 level. So can clear that, make another run into 60. Coming back on the downside, Dennis, you are looking at that low of the move at 56.57 as major support. Below that could definitely slide down to the 54 area.
Well, that's our earnings preview for this week. Hopefully it's been of some help. We're trying to highlight some technical levels for you guys. Any closing thoughts on any of those, Joel?
No, just kind of if you're looking at bank stock earnings, coming out for a bank that you follow or have in your portfolio, see what the other things that the stocks in the sector that have reported, and look for the same thing. And if you don't get the same reaction, be careful. These earnings reports can really move stocks, but use your technical levels that you have predetermined first to enter and exit trades. And that's our earnings preview for this week, and we'll be back with you with our Market Outlook show tomorrow morning.